You're a startup founder. You think your product is amazing and feel like more people should be buying, but the road is long and slow. It feels like you're stuck. There's always one thing I ask startup founders. Have you talked to your customers? They almost always say, heck yes, we talk to our customers all the time. But what I find is they're either selling or trying to improve their product. These are not customer-focused conversations. If we can get curious about our customers, then we can uncover critical insights that will help us build to the next round. I'm Anna Firmenov, and welcome to Building with Buyers, a show about startup growth where I'll explore how customers help startups build to the next round.
Welcome to Building with Buyers. Thank you for joining me. So Jennifer Tsay is CEO and co-founder at Shoott. Shoot, or shoot the video of, or shoot the photo of
like photo shoot, but with two T's.
Yeah. So you reached out to me after listening to Riverside's panel on content repurposing. I'm glad that hopefully that was a helpful panel. It was really fun to do that one.
Absolutely.
And then I looked you up and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a really cool business. So I, of course, had to bring you on the show. Shoott is a marketplace connecting photographers with customers. So you get free 30-minute photo sessions with top local photographers, and you pay only for the photos that you love. I think this is a really cool concept.
Thank you.
And it's been successful because you've grown it from 800,000 to 10 million. Oh my gosh. So I am excited to have you here. I'm exploring the role that customers play in helping startups build to the next round. And so I like to mix it up. Sometimes I have companies that sell to companies, right? B2B. Sometimes I like to have B2C, for example, your company, right? And so, because I think there's a lot of learnings that we can take across both. So, founded in 2018, I want to first ask you, what did it take to go from 800,000 to 10 million? And maybe you can think through those milestone moments, okay, to get to the first set of customers, here's what we had to focus on. But then how did you get to 10 million? And what did you have to focus on there? So I'll let you tell me.
Yeah. So I think what it takes is a lot of grit and a lot of willing to be wrong and recognizing that as fast as you can and doing testing to see kind of where you should be going instead. So I think when we first started, because it was 2018, it was the era when Instagram was really blowing up. So we were like, oh, if we want to build a business in the photography space, I think it's kind of going to be where the influencers are. So our key demographic will be young millennials looking for photos and maybe people going on vacation because those people want photos. So we launched and we set up this really scrappy website that allowed booking slots, a lot of placeholder stuff, really an MVP, minimum viable product, just to see if the idea worked. We sent it to all of our friends and they booked out. And we were like, oh, okay. And then we went from there. And then we were after our friends were let's put up ads. Let's see what that's like. The ad environment at that point in time was also very favorable. But we were how can we get more scale? And so we were realizing that influencers weren't kind of the best demographic for us. They just didn't always buy that much. And we had to find a lot. It was just not really clicking. And then on a fluke, we were let's, our photo sessions are outdoors. So we're let's have a day of photo sessions in an area that has lots of families. It just happened to be, it's Hoboken in New Jersey, which is right outside New York City. A lot of young families live there. So we had a day of sessions. Normally it's 15 slots that day. It books out immediately. We're oh. And then I think we maxed it out and we had 45 sessions in a day. And it was all young families. It was famous with young kids. And we were oh, I think that's our target demographic instead. And so we had to really allow ourselves to be wrong all the time. And then we were okay, great. What if we just apply this kind of in the different cities that we're in and more locations that are close to young families? What does that work? If we market to moms of young kids, does that work? And it did. So that was what led the growth to start really ramping up. And then we were let's see if we can launch in other cities. And the way that we did that was we were like, I don't know how to launch in different cities without, we were at that time test shooting photographers in person, which was very cumbersome. I was doing it. And then the pandemic happened. And our business was really interesting because it is outdoor mostly. And so it's one of the few activities you can do that's socially distanced. It's outdoors.
So you continued to do it,
Mhm.
like it did not have to slow down. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we were like, oh, okay. If we're going to open up new cities, we have the technology to do that. We just need to find photographers. So can we test shoot people remotely? Can we do that entire process remote? And we thought it was a ridiculous idea. And then we were like, oh, I don't know. And then we figured out how to do it. And then so we grew exponentially during the pandemic, which is not something that is like the story of most businesses, right? Most businesses kind of had to
Why
really
do you
pull
think that is?
Oh, I think we were one of the few activities you could do that was socially distanced. And when you're targeting families, you always want pictures of your kids. It's like, you don't stop wanting that because you're in the middle of a pandemic. If anything, like it's a nice excuse to get out of the house. And at the time, because a lot of businesses did have to shut down, we benefited by running ads. And so there was just less people running ads. There's less competition.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So you found out, I think that you had mentioned when we first chatted over email, like you thought that your ideal customer would be just like single, younger,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
To get like those selfies and not selfies, something more professional than selfies, right? To get that out and use that for sharing purposes and stuff. But then you found out that it's actually young families with children and had to kind of pivot. So when you were launching in the different cities and creating your ads, like what were you thinking in terms of your creative strategy? Like what were you showing? Were you just showing these young families and how it's photography, it's all image, right? And it's all the content that you have at your disposal. So was that your strategy for your marketing?
Yeah. So what's really interesting is we have, now been advertising for 7 years. And in the beginning, everyone would be like, oh, you have to really, it's best to show video of the experience, all of this stuff. Video never performs for us, no matter who. And we've tried it with like 5 or 6 different agencies. And so we figured out that still photos, which is so, maybe it does make sense because we do still photos, but that is what people click on. And, we always try to emphasize the word free on there because that's kind of the hook. That's the hook of our business. It's the hook of an ad. Most people, when they book a photo shoot or they think about it, especially if it's professional, they think, oh my God, I have to shell out at least $500. Or it's this really cumbersome thing. I have to do all this research. We're like, no, you can book in 60 seconds or less. We're trying to make everything as convenient as possible for moms, for parents. And so that's kind of how we advertise and what's worked for us.
And in your platform, like, is it possible to see do the photographers have reviews?
Yes. So this is part of we listen to our clients a lot. We realized that we had to do that. So what are they complaining about? And in the beginning, it was like, we would assign them the photographer and then they would be like, well, I want to know who the photographer is. And we were like, well, we're not necessarily advertising specific photographers. Like we're matching and it's based on availability. But I'm like, well, we can have a hybrid. For people who don't care, we can give them that. But a lot of people do care. So you can sort our schedule now by top photographer. You can see their stats, how many sessions they've completed, what is their average client rating, and then you can see their sample portfolio. So you can find someone whose vibe matches and aesthetic matches what you're looking for.
It's like the Upwork for photographers, right?
Like that, yes.
But the cool thing is that the session itself is free. And how much do photos cost? Does it depend on the photographer, what they decide is right for them and their experience, or how much does it cost?
No, it's actually, the photos start at $25 each. And then the more you buy, the more you save. So our most common package is 10 photos for $18 each, which is $180, but that also throws in some retouching credit. Or you can get your whole gallery for $298. And then we have other packages, like bundled packages with photo book and cards if you want to transform that, or framed prints, things like that. So it is a set price, and that's how we work.
What would you say, how did you get to 10 million though? What was the thing that really helped you scale? What is it? What's going on out there?
I think we had to be really tenacious about learning how to market. And the thing that I always want to say that's very inspiring is that nobody on my team had a marketing background. Not really. So we were operations people. We wanted to build a business. So it was really important. So a few years ago when iOS 14.5 hit and the ad targeting stopped being as effective on Facebook, our CPAs used to be like $20. And all of a sudden they would be sometimes 60 to 150, things like that. So then we, out of necessity for survival, had to learn all the nuts and bolts from scratch to be like, how do we save our business? And I still don't consider us marketers, like in my brain, but I know that's not true because we would not be to where we are today without successful marketing. And a lot of it is just doing the next right thing. Some people can do it themselves. We have agencies for some of those things. We're constantly tweaking. We try to find volume in different ways. So like we have our traditional ads, but then it's everything kind of compounds, right? We have a refer a friend program. We have an affiliate program that we've built. We have a fundraiser program where people can host a day of shoots for their community. And then a portion of proceeds gets donated, whether it's to their PTA or PTO or the organization, charity. Yeah.
That makes so much sense because it's like young families with the kids in school. That's awesome.
Yeah. Or like a firehouse or things like that, where people want to come together on behalf of something, but would also love to get really great professional photos. So yeah.
I love that so much. What's hard right now? What would you say is a challenge?
What's hard right now is a lot of things at this stage. So we're like 7 years old. And I would say the things that are hard are things dealing with how do we scale, right? How do we scale our operations and our team to kind of the next level? And so we also know that like really good brand partnerships make a huge difference. So like, how do we forge those? It's really hard sometimes to do those cold. And as people who didn't have a lot of business connections starting this, it's hard to sometimes get your foot in the door with that. So that is kind of a tricky thing for us. But we know like when we unlock the right partnerships, they're another marketing arm for us and vice versa. And that's like a really mutually beneficial relationship where you all of a sudden get a little more scale or a lot more scale because you have those. And so I would say like with how fast we grew and how small we are, like our team is only 10 people, 10 to 11 full-time people.
That's it?
Yes, behind the scenes. We support 750 plus photographers across the US.
Yeah.
But the people behind the scenes, it's 10 and 5 of those people are technical people. So the other 5 are juggling all of operations. So we're like, okay, we need to figure out how to make this work. And so one thing we're really good at is we're really good at setting things up. So we're like, okay, we need a journey for like abandoned cart. We need to put a poll here. We need to do all of those things. But sometimes we work so fast that we'll forget to check on the results of something or to see how something is doing. So I think in order for us to really keep growing well and just like take advantage of all of the data we're collecting about our business, the first party data, we have to just be a little better at making sure that like all the processes are really tight.
Hey, it's Anna, host of Building with Buyers. I started the show because I found that customers play such an important role in business growth, but they're often overlooked. We're so focused on net new. But the thing that makes you unique is not your product. There are so many companies solving the same problem, and they have customers too. The thing that makes you unique is your superfan customers. That's your moat. Most positioning and messaging is guesswork. I'm a customer insights and strategy advisor, and I help my clients by interviewing their customer superfans and translating those insights into clear and compelling positioning and messaging that specific people care about. So you get deeper engagement with customers and prospects, increased inbound to demos, better sales conversations, increased word of mouth, and closed deals. If you're done guessing, stumbling along, and want to be more customer obsessed, reach out. I'd love to help. And now, back to the episode.
How would you say you incorporate customers as part of your growth efforts? Like you talked about how you're paying attention to the fact that your ideal customer was actually not who you thought it would be. So listening into that, making sure that your growth efforts match to who you're selling to. But what other ways do you have customers play a role in your growth?
Yeah. I think we try talking to them a lot. So we'll literally we'll offer like, hey, if you want to give us feedback on the phone, we'll give you, whether it's a gift card or a free shoot or whatever. We do things like that. I think I mentioned this already, we set up polls. And so we're collecting polls at different stages all throughout the process. There's actually multiple touch points with us. Like you interact with us to book, you also interact with us for the gallery. So there's different things for them to be like, I like this, I don't like this. And then we look at it to see like, what are people repeatedly saying? Because we should probably do that. So things like that. And it's things like, we have our set schedule where people can book their photo shoot, but on the bottom we're like, hey, is there a location that you really want that like we don't list? And then they throw that in there too. So I think like by aggregating all of that knowledge, we make our decisions based on what they tell us, especially if there's like a critical mass of people giving us that feedback. It's or at least we try. Yeah.
Yeah. And that sounds like, more on the product side. Like you want to talk to your customers, you want to improve their experience, you want to improve what they're using, how they experience it, so that they're happy and so that they share, right? Because word of mouth is the best form of marketing out there. Do you incorporate any customer research at Shoott? When I say customer research, I think about it as like a whole person customer research. So not just related as it relates to your product and their experience with it, but who are these people? Who are these moms with young kids? Like, what are they into? What do they do? Do they play sports? Are their kids in elementary school and high school? What else is going on in their life beyond just photo shoots? Because I'm sure a lot. Do they like to drink wine on Saturday nights? Do they like to golf? Do they like to go travel? Are they foodies? Or right? Just having that level of understanding about your super fan customer. Do you do any of that exploring?
Not explicitly. So I'm very glad you're bringing this up because it's so great to be like, oh my God, there's literally an uncharted area where we could still grow, right? The worst thing in the world, I think, is like actually reaching a limit and being like, oh my God, there's nowhere to grow after this. So I think sometimes we like look at some of that stuff, I think there's some of that information on either like Google Analytics or like some of your marketing platforms will give you kind of this overall qualitative look at what your audience has in common. So we'll just kind of check on that, but not intentionally have we looked at it the way that you've been describing. So if you have any tips, I would appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay,
I would
great.
definitely look at the customers, especially the ones that are your super fans, the ones that have spent the most money on the platform, the ones that come back year after year, because you've been around for a while now. Maybe there are some that stuck with you for all the years. That would be fascinating to find out. The ones that spread that word of mouth, right? Referrals, the ones that do that, and talk to them because they're the ones that really love what you built. And so, how can you find more people like them? What makes them unique? What made them decide to use your platform and also just really stay with you and love you so much? What is it about them? What's unique about them? And the only way to do that, I mean, you can start with a survey
Mhm.
if there's a lot. I don't know. How many customers do you have?
I think our email list is somewhere like around 250,000 to 300.
250,000 to 300,000.
Yeah.
So you probably want to start with a survey.
Thank
Because
you.
like one by one, picking through, doing those interviews. But then the survey research, you can ask 10 questions, 10 of the most interesting, like what's your goal with that survey? Maybe your goal is to have that whole person customer research understanding. Like I want to learn more about them beyond just our product. And then from the survey, you might decide that you want to actually have 45-minute conversations with 5 people and dig a little bit more and learn a little bit more. And you could only do that in a conversation like you and I are having right now to understand what's going on in their world beyond the product and what's on their mind, what are they into, where they hang out, online, offline. Stuff like that is really nice to incorporate as part of your marketing strategy. It's great that you're on, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you are. But what about, are you on YouTube? I don't know if you're on YouTube.
It's so funny. We just added more videos to YouTube, but we need to do more of that for sure.
Yeah. And so it kind of helps you then if you ask in the survey and like majority of people are saying like, oh my gosh, 60% of people are saying they're on YouTube when they're consuming content, then that's like really good. We're not just on there to be on there. We're on there because we know that our customers are on there. So it gives you a nice compass. When you do this customer research, it gives you a compass of like, we feel confident that we should be pushing harder in these channels with this type of content because we learned so much about our target, our buyer, our customer, our superfan customer, and we want to go find more people like them. And so that's how you pull people in when you know what to say and when you know where to say it. So awesome. Very nice. So I think I asked you everything. Like I learned so much, and it's also fascinating to me. This is a question I like to ask across most of the episodes is, do you do this customer research? How much do you know about your customer? And what I find is that most founders will say, we ask them about the product and how do they like the product and what should we improve about the product or the experience. And that makes sense because you're product focused, you're operations focused. That's what you want to improve. You want to make sure you have good customer service, that you're making sure that your customers are happy. But there's another side of this, which is if you have more empathy for who these people are, you can pull in more people like them, and that will help your business grow too. So in the couple minutes we have left, I love to always ask, what question do you have for me if you have any questions?
Yeah. Is there any sort of like marketing advice that you think is trash? Or you're like, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
I
And what is it?
have marketing pet peeves, just like any other marketer, just like founders have founder pet peeves, right? My pet peeve at the moment is like those people that go on social and they're posting gimmicky stuff because it works. And then the post goes viral. It's like, I've built this blah, blah, blah system and you can have it if you just comment.
Oh, it's on LinkedIn.
Growth
That's on LinkedIn.
in the comment.
Oh, yes.
That's on LinkedIn. It's always there and I hate it. It's like, well, but it works, so you should do it. And I'm like, no, that's not me. That's not my style. I don't do gimmicky stuff. I try and create unique, valuable content without the gimmicks. So currently at the moment, you caught me at a time where I'm like, I just don't like that stuff. I see it and I see that it works and I just stay true to my own content efforts and trying to create valuable, interesting, useful content without the gimmicks is. That was a good question, though. I have, of course, more things that are.
I think that's a great LinkedIn post or social media post from like a marketing expert. Like, yeah, what are your pet peeves that you see that people are just trying and putting out there? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's a big one. Trying to think if there's anything else. Like, I don't like when people say hack, like hacks. I'm a growth hacker.
Oh,
You're not a growth hacker. Like, we're all trying to hack our way, right? We're all trying to.
Yes.
But if you start from a good foundation, like the psychology of people and why they buy and understanding your customers and having those important conversations and prioritizing your go-to-market strategy and not being everywhere all at once and talking about all the things, right? There are just foundational things that work. And so that's what we're trying to do here is come at it from that place, not hack your way to growth. Although you can say you're a growth hacker, but I don't think there's such a thing. It's like the way that you hack is by following foundational principles of good strategy. And good strategy is where I come from. It needs to sit on a foundation of understanding who you're building this for, what problem you're solving. It's got to be a good product. Obviously, it's got to be a pull from the market. They have to need it. Otherwise, marketing won't help you. But if you've got that and you've got the solid foundation of understanding who needs it most and the problem you're solving, then you're gold. So, yeah.
No, I appreciate you saying that because I think even when we started learning marketing, we have advisors be like, you just have to hire a growth hacker. That's all you have to do. And we were like, I don't know how to find them.
Excuse me, is there a growth hacker out there, please? Because put up a job description, growth hacker. I love that.
Gosh.
It's like, we're looking for a growth hacker. What?
Yeah, exactly. And then it was so much pressure to be like, there's some silver bullet out there. We just can't find it. And I think you never want to run your business or do anything from that standpoint that it's just like this one thing that you have to figure out. It's like, it's not, it's literally a way of being. When you figure out like the foundational principles, like you said, and you're just doing them with discipline and with humility, like, and just tenacity, you'll figure it out, which is what we also did. Oh, and my second question for you actually was,
yes,
what are your favorite AI platforms for marketing? Do you have any that you love right now?
So I'm using ChatGPT for mostly. My podcast platform has AI built into it. So Riverside has AI built into it. I just click a button and it generates video clips for me. I don't have to do anything. That's like,
nice.
That's nice. Tell me about it. But I am going to be exploring, I just need time to do this. Just talk to someone about using Notebook LM but from Google and using it as a sort of deep research tool. So I am big into customer research, obviously. I go straight to customers. I talk to them. I have qualitative conversations. But there's also a lot that you can do with even ChatGPT or Notebook LM, where you tell the tool like about your audience, about the category, about some other information, and it will crawl available content that's published with, you can tell it like crawl it within 12 months, look for social posts, find the words, and it will confirm maybe what you're finding from your one-to-one conversations, but also give you richer understanding across crawling all the content that's been published on certain topics. And it's more of like ethnographic research, which is very interesting to me. I haven't done that before. So yeah, that's my plan, is to do a little bit more deep research diving, because that's my area of focus is customer research. But then how do we take it to the next level around content and find out more of what's been published and looking for words and phrases and trends, right, that have to do with this audience.
Love that.
Yeah, great question. Awesome. Great chatting with you, Jennifer. If anybody wants to find Jennifer, she's on LinkedIn, Jennifer Tsay. And to look for Shoott, you just need to go to shoott.com, 2 T's. Don't forget SHOOTT. And Jennifer, it was a pleasure. You are building something amazing and so much fun talking to you today.
So much fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Building with Buyers. New episodes drop weekly, so make sure you're following wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me on LinkedIn, Anna Furmanov. Visit my website to learn more about how to turn customer insights into positioning and messaging your buyers will understand. FurmanovMarketing.com. And don't forget to leave a review if you're loving the show.